Hey there, happy day. Welcome to day 87 of the 90-day BP challenge. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. BP, of course, for me, stands for blood pressure. My goal over this 90-day push is to lower my blood pressure so I don't have to take any prescription medication for it. Now, our challenge and our task today is all about what I call process CI. CI, for an old quality manager or an old quality professional, stands for continuous improvement. Tony Robbins, and I've done a lot of research, a lot of studying of processes and continuous improvement throughout my corporate career. In college, it started my love and my study and my interest in quality and how we do things. And how we do things is simply a process. Everything and anything that we do in life can be broken down and understood as a process. It can be a step-by-step thing that we do. Everything we do, even though we don't identify it, we do in it's a process. It's the way we do it. And we want to be looking at the way we do things that we do more than once and be asking ourselves, is there a better, faster, easier, more efficient, more effective way of doing this? Now, obviously that sentence just rolls off my tongue because it's inherent in who I am at this point. Was I born caring about how I did things or quality? Probably not, but somehow over my young and formative years, I got really interested. I guess I always was interested in how things work. My mom tells stories about how I used to take apart all the clocks and anything interesting in the house and cameras. I would take them apart and then leave them in pieces. I just wanted to see all the pieces that went into them and kind of try to figure out how they worked. So I guess I have always been interested in how things work, how we do things. But continuous improvement means I'm looking at the way I do something. And a lot of times we don't do that. We just do things on autopilot. We do things automatically. But for this challenge, I'm challenging you to start paying more attention to yourself and your life and how and why you do things. Because if you understand how and why you do things, then you'll choose either to do them or continue to do them because they're in your own best interest, or you'll stop doing them. You'll stop doing some of the things that you know are not good for you. That is an example of continuous improvement. Now, the process that I'm doing is checking my blood pressure, documenting that process, and all the other things that we've done with that process today. The final step in that is continuous improvement. How can I, on some frequency, look at this process and see if it's still effective and it's still getting me the results I want today, or if I need to tweak the way I do that, tweak what I'm doing, change the process in some way, shape, or form to make it better, to get me better, faster, easier, more efficient, more effective results in the area that the process addresses. Now, just measuring my blood pressure is a pretty simple process, right? But are there things that I could do? Maybe technology changes. And here's my cue for continuous improvement. Whenever there's a change in the environment or in my situation, which is the environment, or in me, or in equipment or technology, or in the world around me that affects the process, I would reevaluate and look at the process. I can say once a year, once a month, once every 6 months, I'm going to automatically look at all my processes and evaluate them. Or I can say, hey, whenever there's a change, that's when I'll look at the process. Now, the thing about that is sometimes things never change, right? Once I set up and get the habit that I'm going to drink 8 glasses of water a day, the only way that process is going to change is if something changes in my environment or around me. Say, for example, I go on vacation. Remember, I've got the water glass trick where I put a glass on a place that I walk by often. Every time I walk by, I take a drink of water. When the glass is empty, I refill the glass. Well, maybe I break my glass. That would be a change in the environment. Maybe I am on vacation, and so I need to alter my process in terms of how I do that and where I actually put the glass. This is a really simple example, but I think you get the idea. If there's a change in the situation or environment, I am going to have to alter my process. And that's when I'll look at the process and say, is it still effective? Is it working? Or do I need to make some kind of a change in the process? Say, for example, my blood pressure cuff gets a hole in it and doesn't work anymore. Well, I obviously have to get a new one or alter my process of checking my blood pressure. Maybe for a day I have to run to Walmart and stick my arm in that little machine and check my blood pressure while I'm buying a new blood pressure cuff because my blood pressure cuff worked. And then I'm going to evaluate my whole process of taking my blood pressure. I'm going to say, hey, is there something new and different that would be faster, easier, for me to test my blood pressure. And that's where actually I came about and got the cuff. Instead of the arm one, I've got the little wrist one, and I love it. So that was an example of where I'd have to look at changing that process. So our challenge today is all about process continuous improvement. Look at the process that you're doing and just decide how you're going to review and continuously improve that process. What is going to be your trigger? Mine is a change in something that affects the process. Yours might be, and mine is also once a year, almost every process, everything I do gets analyzed and reviewed to see if there's something. Number one, do I need to still keep doing it? Is it even necessary? I learned this in corporate America. We used to, being in quality, you're in charge of all the information and all the data and all the processes. And in a lot of places that I work in manufacturing environments, we would collect and document and track all kinds of data that we never used to make decisions. It was just collecting information and data and graphing and charting and presenting it for no reason. It was just for the sake of collecting the data. And in my own businesses, once I left corporate America, in corporate America you had to do that because other people wanted the information. In my own businesses, I got really good at paying attention to what I was tracking. Was it even necessary information? And then if I wasn't using that information for anything, especially to make decisions to move my business ahead, I would discontinue or stop doing that, unless it was something for the USDA, where we had to have a record of something. And keeping a record of something for the USDA is a reason for doing something, right? Documenting the temperatures in your freezer and your cooler to prove that you're always at temperature and your food is safe for the USDA and for your own. I mean, we would have done it anyway, whether we were USDA guidelined and inspected or not, because guess what? If your freezer breaks or your refrigerator breaks, it ruins all of the inventory you've gotten in there. That's a very bad thing in a food business and a manufacturing business. And you don't want that to happen. More than the USDA doesn't want that to happen. So you take steps to make sure that it doesn't ever happen. And one of those things is monitoring and documenting the temperature of your coolers and freezers every day. Now they have graphs and automatic equipment that can do it for you, but guess what? Some human being or an alarm needs to be set up so that you still pay attention to that. Again, those are examples of technological changes that might come into play that make someone having to walk over to the cooler or freezer, check the temperature, and write it on the clipboard unnecessary, because you can get a piece of equipment that will actually do that for you. But then somebody needs to monitor the piece of equipment and make sure that that's working properly too, right? So there's always something. Whenever we solve one problem, we create another situation or problem that needs to be addressed. That's one of the cool things about business, is that whenever we provide a solution to people and help them out in one way, it usually causes another challenge for them in some other aspect of their life that we can usually help them out with. So today, let's get back to it. Process, continuous improvement. How and when are you going to evaluate and decide whether your process needs to be relooked at in terms of improving or changing or eliminating it altogether? That's it. Have an awesome day. If I can help you in any way, if you have any questions about this, hit me up in the comments below. I don't want you to feel like, I don't get this, I'm stuck. Here's the process I did. If you need help, I can totally help you looking at your process and looking at and figuring out, well, what does continuous improvement have to do with it? That's it. Have an amazing day. I will, of course, be with you tomorrow with day 88. 88 is going to be great. Have an awesome day. Bye.